We just got a rim light. We just got a rim light. We just got a rim light, and it looks stinking good. Hey, sometimes I get overexcited about advancements in my video production quality. Hey there, Internet. This weekend, fairly significant advancements have been made in both of the two largest entertainment franchises in the world. I think I'm safe calling them that. I'm talking, of course, about Marvel and Star Wars, which, come to think of it, are both owned by one company, which has me very, very worried about the monopolization of entertainment today. That's not what this video is about. What this video is about is that Disney just announced a new animated television series set before The Force Awakens, meant to explore the backstory of those characters, to air on, I think, Disney XD or Disney Channel. And of course, Marvel is putting out its umpteenth film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Avengers Infinity War, which many of you, myself included, am going to see at some point this weekend. And as I compared both of those pieces of data in my brain over the past day, I realized that I am utterly ambivalent about the former, yet still incredibly excited about the latter, despite the fact that those are two fairly similar developments. They're expansions and additions to long-running, very, very popular entertainment franchises, which at one point I have professed to love. So why am I sick of Star Wars while Marvel just keeps being awesome? See, I'm not one of those people who's going to sit here and complain about sequelization and the constant making of new franchises, because that's something that's been going on forever, whether you might remember that or not. People have always made sequels because they're easier, they're safer, they're usually cheaper. Movies with Mikey has a fascinating video about that whole subject that you can watch by clicking right up there, and I would highly recommend it. I don't think a sequel is an inherently bad thing. Some of my favorite movies ever are sequels. So the fact of the matter is that I genuinely believe that Marvel, with its cinematic universe, has managed to sustain over the course of... Hey Google, how many movies are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Why do I even have that thing? Okay, it's like 16 movies. I don't know exactly. But over the course of that many movies, they've managed to continually develop and expand and add new ideas and create entertaining stories that might not be filmic greatness, but are still entertaining and which I still love watching and in fact do care about the characters. But Star Wars, on the other hand, over the course of 10 or 11 movies has, in my mind, stagnated, if not started steadily downgrading in quality with each passing film. So I've been sitting here trying to figure out what exactly these franchises choose to follow as the pattern for their new films, and at first I just thought they were fairly similar. You know, each movie adds new elements, expands some things, rewrites some things from the past because retcons are inevitable, and then builds out in new ways. Marvel and Star Wars seem to be following that fairly parallel course, but as I thought about it in more detail, I realized that there is one subtle but very important difference between their approaches that makes all of the difference in the world, and here it is in one little nuggety piece of goodness. When Star Wars adds something new, it is fundamentally based on something that is pre-existing within that universe. That could mean that they take a character that we know and radically reshape them either physically or in their personality and give them an entirely different role in the story. It could mean that they take a piece of the plot that maybe we've witnessed a small portion of or we've heard referenced, but then they take it and they expand it into a whole movie. That's what they're doing with Rogue One and with Solo. It could mean that they take some of those rhyming elements that George Lucas was so fond of.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
And repeat them with slightly different layers added on top, but still this same fundamental underlying rhyme scheme. And as a result, you constantly feel like they're repeating themselves, but also betraying themselves. Star Wars as a franchise has this weird habit of being obsessed with its own canonicity, and as a result, I think they've become fairly limited in what they feel they are capable of doing. They either have to just retread the same ground like they did with Rogue One and they're about to do with Solo, and why I think that looks like honestly one of the most boring films to come out this year, or they're forced to go the Last Jedi approach where they take all the same things that we've always loved and then beat them into the dirt until we no longer recognize them. Neither one is satisfying to someone who's loved the franchise for a long time. But Marvel, on the other hand, isn't afraid to introduce things completely out of the blue. I mean, you take a movie like Doctor Strange, which is 12 or 13 movies into the franchise, and suddenly they're like, yeah, there's magic in this world, who gives a rip? It opens up entirely new dimensions, literally, for where they can take these stories. It's something refreshing, it's something we've never ever seen before, and it's exciting because we as the audience don't know what's going to happen. When you're repeating yourself, it's utterly predictable no matter how many layers you try to hide that repetition underneath, but when you're introducing out of the blue new concepts like a raccoon in a tree from space, it's just fundamentally more interesting. This is why the MCU has been able to survive so long despite having, let's be honest, a kind of complete lack of decent villains except for like Loki and Killmonger. That's the guy in Black Panther because he was phenomenal. Yes, there's often lacking a real sense of conflict between the good guys and and the bad guys, they're kind of forgettable, but at the same time, the audience is so caught up in the entertainment and the excitement and the what's gonna happen next that we don't really care. It's far more about the heroes than it is about the villains, and we're okay with that. And now, 10 years into this massive franchise, they're finally introducing the big bad emperor figure, as they once described Thanos in interviews, and I'm way more excited and have way more hope for what he might be able to do than I did for Emperor Snoke, or not Emperor Snoke. What was he even called? I don't know. It doesn't matter because he's dead now. In short, Star Wars has taken to shoving the same old things in the face of its fans, hoping that they might be satisfied, and Marvel is saying, you know what? We've got a pattern that you like, we've got characteristics that you like, but as far as story beats, who knows where we're gonna go next? And in a storytelling medium, that is what is important. I didn't realize A, how passionate I was about this, and B, that I could talk about it for 14 minutes, but here we are. Or however long it is once I've edited it. That doesn't matter. But what does matter is that I would love to keep this conversation going, so let me know down in the comments, do you agree? Do you see this same sort of disparity between the way Star Wars and Marvel approach their respective franchises? Is there one that you like more than the other? Because my guess is there are plenty of people who would vehemently disagree and say that Star Wars has handled their sequelization far better than Marvel has. Their opinions, I'd love to hear them and I'd love to discuss. Maybe I'll even do a follow-up if I get enough thoughtful fodder down below in the discussion, or enough nerd rage. It really could go either way. Click that subscribe button and the little bell button so you don't miss my new videos every single week, because one of those might actually be a follow-up to this video. Who knows? But I'll see you guys then. Deuces.